Alright, so new skills just came out today. Also the Awakening event. In this video, I'm gonna go over the Rogue skill build, okay? My personal skill build that I've been using. Do not ask me for Mage or Warrior skill build because I don't play those two classes. They're still level 81. I don't know shit about them. So me making a skill build on a class that I don't know shit about will end up resulting in me doing some skills or some builds that are like, that make people who are in the game question what the fuck is he saying. He doesn't know what he's talking about here, which is obvious. I don't, because I don't play those two classes anymore. I play Rogue. So onto this video, starting off with Rogue. Shadow Piercer is the first skill. The two middle ones you want, you can either go right or left with them. It doesn't really matter. It depends on you. I put health and amount of damage done. Doesn't really matter. So Shadow Piercer, the two middle ones, you don't go with the top one, and you don't go with the bottom one. I'll explain why here. So Gouging Rush, you have a 15% chance to reduce a single target's armor by 10%. That is a waste of a skill point. You're going to be insta-killing enemies, or your teams will be killing them fast, or whatever. 10% armor is useless. Like, it doesn't make a difference in your damage. And the other two are also useless. The bottom one will hurt you more than it will help you. So you have to charge this one in order for the bottom one to work. And nobody charges Shadow Piercer. No one does it. If you charge Shadow Piercer, it will shoot you between enemies. So say if you're in, say, Elder Woods, and you're at a certain point of the map where you don't want to go forward, but you're trying to kill the enemies that are in front of you, and you charge Shadow Piercer, it's going to charge you forward into the other group of enemies that are in front of you that you don't want to trigger, and you're going to die due to it, or something like that. So that's why I never go for this one, because it will fuck you up. So just the two middle ones. Aim shot, the one on the left. This, by the way, this is just my normal PvE loadout for enemies. This isn't for bosses. The one I have for bosses is different. For PvE enemies, for like Elder Woods or Zodia's maps or whatever, just enemies with or maps with enemies in them and a boss at the end, you want to go for this Hunter's Focus on aim shot. Aim shot's going to be 3 out of 4. The bottom one is useless. It also reduces armor and movement speed or whatever. Bottom one's useless. This is PvE, not PvP. If it was PvP, this would be really useful, but since it's PvE, that's useless. But Hunter's Focus in PvE maps where you have like a group of enemies together is really overpowered, because when I tested it, say if you have 3 enemies next to each other, okay? I shoot the one in the middle, it does the exact same damage to the one on the right side and left side as it did to the middle one. So there's like no damage reduction there. So if I shoot a target in the face with an arrow, and it does 300,000 damage to the middle one, it also does 300,000 damage to the one on the right and the one on the left, which is insane. No damage reduction there. On the boss loadout, I'll get to that in a minute. I'll explain what I changed. I'm not actually going to do that here because it's going to confuse you guys. The second one, critical shot, go with the one on the left, obviously. Trained killer, critical damage, just too overpowered. Deadly focus, go with the one on the right, crit damage, too overpowered. So that's for aim shot. The third skill is razor shield. Go with the bottom 3. The top one is for this top one I use for bosses, but I'll explain that in a different loadout in a minute after this PvE loadout. So go for the bottom 3 in this one. On the third one, you're gonna go with the right side or left side. That doesn't really matter. It just depends on you if you want to regenerate mana or HP. I chose mana. On the fourth one, go with the one on the left, because you increase movement speed. You're gonna be running through the map faster, getting to bosses and stuff quicker to clear the map even faster than you normally would. So yeah, that's razor shield for you. As you can see here, just copy this if you want. Noxis bolt is gonna be 4 out of 4. The first 3 you're gonna want to go with the right side, because the first one, you leave poison trails behind that cause other enemies to get affected by poison, which causes more dots over time, which would cause your stuff to proc faster, and it just does more damage in the long run. The second one, you want to go with paralyzing, because if you stun your targets, so in a map, in a PvE map, say it's a big box, okay? and you have a target that's in the middle. If the target ever gets to the right side, the left side, top or down, or in the corners, it resets back to the middle and regenerates all its HP. There's a circle around the target that if it leaves that circle, it will automatically run back to the middle, regenerate all of its health, and delete all of its status effects. If you stun targets in a map and you hit them with Noxis Bolt, they're going to take damage over time while being stunned, so they cannot leave that circle, the leash range, and they cannot reset. So when you reach a boss or something, your stuff is just going to insta-proc because those stunned enemies are taking damage over time. 3 seconds doesn't seem like a lot of time, but it is quite a bit of time. Anyways, on the third one, you're going to want to go with 5% damage to non-bosses, because this is just a mob killing loadout. On the fourth one, crit damage. Obviously, crit damage is overpowered. Passives, do not go for armor. This is non-stacking. This is useless. Critical shot, do not go with this because you have 100% plus crit chance at level 86 plus or whatever. You want to go with damage. You want to go with these three right here: haste, dexterity, and damage. And then these two here, knowledge and might. The 3 skill points I had left over, I just put in movement speed. It doesn't matter what you do with the last 3 skill points you're going to have left over. Masteries, 10 out of 10 Razor Shield, 10 out of 10 Noxis Bolt. And ultimates, of course, ultimate aim shot. I mean, it just depends on what you're doing in the map. But this is for endgame maps, or maps with mobs that are high HP and stuff like that. There is a loadout you can make for low level maps, which includes Shadow Storm Shot, but I'm not going to do that in this video. Don't need to, because once you start focusing on achievements, you should already know what to do with this game, like how to plan stuff out, what skills to use and shit like that. So onto the boss loadout. It's slightly different than the PvE loadout. So on the boss loadout, what's different is in an aim shot, I put leech 2% HP. Everything else there the same. And inside Razor Shield, I put 15% boss damage with this. Now you may be questioning, why would you go with boss damage instead of damage? The reason I do that is because this damage right here is non-stacking. What that means is if I have 10% non-stacking, 20% non-stacking, 30% non-stacking, all together on my rogue, that would add up to a total of like 60%, or no, yeah, 10, 20, 30, yeah, 60% non-stacking damage. But the way non-stacking damage works is I have 10%, 20%, and 30%, right? Logically, that would add up to 60%, but no, it would only be 30% because it's non-stacking. It would only take the highest value. And when you proc, say, a Star Beast Pendant or a Kraken Armor, those two give you 300% and 200% non-stacking damage. That completely nullifies your skill's damage. So it's just best off to go for the 15% boss damage. And then, of course, everything else is basically the same, except right here I put 10% or 25% chance to reflect 10% damage. Passives are the same, except I put gold loot instead of move speed. Masteries are the same, except I did Shadow Piercer because in ultimates, when you do these portal maps, you can't charge your ultimate. Like, you're never going to get your ultimate up and going. So what's the point of putting 10 skill points into something you cannot use? So yeah, that's my build, and that's how I use my skills. If I'm running like whatever this map is called, Catacombs, I would use my PvE loadout. And if I'm running the portal maps, I would use my boss loadout. But it's up to you guys, whatever you want to do. If you're like me and have 10 million respect scrolls, you can make 2 loadouts for this. If you are low on respect scrolls, just stick with the mobs loadout. You don't need 2 loadouts, you can just use 1. So yeah, I'm just gonna end the video here. Nothing else for me to really say. Good luck with the Awakening event.